There you go, buddy.
Inside a Wofford Ranch in Valonia, Lily Wofford is hard at work teaching.
Come on down here and we're going to cruise him through again. We've been here since 2014 and we have 100 kids that ride here every week.
Now this session, she is working with perhaps the next big name in barrel racing.
My name is Wilburd. I'm 13 years old.
She's a black girl, and she rocks that black girl magic very well.
Her mom, Zanetta Wilburd, says Paris was in love the moment she first saddled up.
Had a binky, dropped her binky, picked it up off the ground, got back on, and I didn't hear nonstop for 3 months. She wanted to ride, she wanted to ride, she wanted to ride.
I was nervous and scared at first, but then I started to get more comfortable as I had more lessons and practice. Easy.
Around that time, the family connected with Lily, who saw just how much potential Paris had.
Yeah, I woke her up at 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'd tap her leg, Paris, it's time to get up, and she was out the door and in the barn with me. Oh.
Whoa.
Soon after that, it was no longer what Paris looked like that kept turning heads at rodeos.
Cowgirl out of Austin, Arkansas. Her name is Paris Wilburd.
14, 4, 2, 3. My hand's shaking, I'm sweating, my heart falls in the pit of my stomach.
Oh boy!
This one, I believe, is from the ladies' barrels. We got one from ladies and junior barrels.
These awards, they are nice, but Paris has her eyes on an even bigger prize. This Saturday, September 24th, she'll be the only Arkansas cowgirl competing in the Bill Pickett Black Rodeo Finals near Washington, D.C., where she hopes to bring home yet another buckle.
I would be very proud and humble about it, but it would mean the world to me.
You know, and she's a prime example of, of being a young black girl and, holding her head up high no matter where she's at. It doesn't faze her, she doesn't care. She's there to ride.
It was a standing room only crowd Sunday morning as Clinton County elected officials were sworn into office just 9 hours after the calendar turned to 2023.
And the Constitution of the State of Arkansas.
Among the mayors and city council people who were sworn in was 18-year-old Jaylen Smith, the country's youngest black elected mayor from Earl, Arkansas.
The office of Earl City Mayor.
Family and friends at the Crittenton County office building to witness him take the historic oath.
It's amazing to have people to come out and support you. This big historical moment.
Aaliyah Rowe, the national vice president of the College Democrats from America, says having younger people running for office is exactly what Arkansas needs.
I think that young people are waking up and noticing that there are real problems in the world that need change, and they're actually doing something and stepping up to make that change. I think it's really important. I think it's great to see young people like Jaylen running for office.
It feels inspiring because, other people that want to get into politics and see me and not done it, they want to get into it regardless of what people tell you and what they say. You still have to move forward because anything you do positive or negative, people are going to find something to say.
Mayor Smith will not have to go at it alone. Other mayors sworn in today say they will be there to lend a helping hand or give any advice if he ever needs it.
Mayor Smith to be mayor and just stick with what he knows. Definitely, I would be here any way I can to offer any advice or anything that he may need.
My prayer is to him that he would find someone to work with that have been in politics for a while to help lead him and guide him in the right direction where it is that, because it's easy to do good and it's easy to do bad.
Smith plans on taking next semester off from Arkansas State University Mid-South to focus on his new role as mayor.
A groundbreaking musician who paved the way for new artists and genres.
Folk, rock, R&B, boogie-woogie, jazz, blues, gospel, at a minimum, were all of the genres that she had a great deal of impact on. She was one of the first charismatic solo female singers in gospel music.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe didn't just sing gospel, she altered it. Instead of using a piano like male gospel singers before her, she played an electric guitar.
And I sang.
One, she was a woman playing the guitar, which is very unusual at that time because the guitar was associated with blues and it was associated with men.
This unusual aspect of Sister Rosetta Tharpe's music didn't end there. In the mid-40s, she worked with a trio who introduced a new style called boogie woogie. While she sang to this new style, she also danced to it, something that was new, different, and according to music professor Rolf Grosbeck, inspired the one people remember as the hit-moving king Elvis.
Very physically moving. She didn't just stand in one place and sing. She just moved. She just moved in a very, very free way. And I think a lot of his onstage presence owes a lot to her as well. They said she's doing something like what is morphing into rock and roll now.
This is what makes her the godmother of rock and roll.
And when she went abroad and gave tours in the 50s and 60s, some of the people at the tours were guitarists like Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck, these kind of big rock and roll guitarists. They listened to Sister Rosetta Tharpe and said, that's like our inspiration.
But as she inspired the next major genre of rock and roll and its artist, her name was never really connected to it.
It was hard for African Americans to sell their music for white audiences.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe's impact was almost erased.
We'll accept the white musicians doing it, but we won't accept the African Americans who inspired that. And that sort of thing was just so much a part of the early to mid 20th century. And it's ended up with the erasure, I think, of a lot of African American musicians.
Artists like Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Little Richard. These are the names with the most rock and roll notoriety, not the godmother of the genre. But a new page turned in 2018 when Sister Rosetta Tharpe finally got her due.
It's been long overdue. I'm honored to induct Sister Rosetta Tharpe into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And I think bringing Sister Rosetta Tharpe into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a way of saying we're going to do that. We're not going to have ironclad boundaries because rock and roll itself doesn't.
Here at home, the boundaries she broke are beginning to see light thanks to the induction. Right off of Main Street in downtown Little Rock, the Cotton Plant native's face, with guitar in hand, is now a mural with the words of one of her songs, Shout, Sister, Shout.
As a creative, painting someone who is a creative who never received recognition in her lifetime, like that's a hard truth.
It's a hard truth lead muralist Jessica Jones is happy to face to get people familiar with the godmother of rock and roll.
That she had such impact and for so long didn't get recognition, I think it's never too late.
It's never too late is a sentiment Dr. Grosbeck echoes, because as he explains, many genres pay homage to Sister Rosetta Tharpe, even if they don't realize it.
If it was important to Elvis, if it was important to Jeff Beck and so forth, it's important to us. We need to know more about this sort of thing. And Sister Rosetta Tharpe is so much a germ, a foundation from which a great deal of this music came.
That's all.
A cannon salute pierces the air at the Camp Robinson Maneuver Training Center, a display of military honor, all for Colonel Leland Tony Shepard, who's being promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. Shepard is the first black officer to command the Arkansas Army National Guard.
We've chosen African Americans and minorities to lead at various levels of our organization.
Everyone's happy about the momentous occasion, but none more than three important people sitting on the front row.
His children, daughter Logan, and sons Ryan and Lucas.
Proud because he's turning into the highest rank.
9-year-old Logan participates in the presentation of the General Officer Belt, signifying that Shepard could now wear with his uniform.
I gave him the belt. I gave him Josh.
5-year-old Lucas, along with his mom, pinned Shepard for the ceremony.
And I presented this weapon.
In a presentation of the General Officer pistol, his son, 2nd Lieutenant Ryan Shepard, smiles and laughs with his father before saluting him.
Ever since I moved to Arkansas, I joined the Arkansas National Guard. I'm really proud of my dad. He set a good example for all of us to follow.
Shepard knows being the first comes with a lot of responsibility.
For my kids and all the other kids, not just mine, that can look up at that podium and be inspired by someone that looks like them, I'm serving as an inspiration.
Commanding the Arkansas Army National Guard is a big role to fill, but only comes second in being a father to his kids, who look at him as
a very good dad.
It's kind of hard to describe. I'm getting, messages from family and friends, and it just kind of, I've compared it to running a race, and you finally cross the finish line and just feel this victory and triumph and just a lot of joy.
Ayana Gray is on cloud 9 in her New York City hotel, promoting her book, Beasts of No Prey, released Tuesday. And to top things off, the Arkansas native just announced the fantasy novel will be adapted into a Netflix film produced by Clubhouse Pictures.
Beasts of Prey is the story of two Black teenagers who go into this magical jungle, and it's interesting because they're running from monsters, like real monsters, but they're also running from internal monsters. And so I think one of the messages I hope that people get from this is to not always run from your monsters, but to face them.
Despite the national attention, the buzz means so much more back home. Gray will be back in Little Rock for a special book signing at Wordsworth Bookstore.
First of all, to have a local author, especially a young person from Little Rock who has written a book that's getting so much national attention and so much buzz, is really exciting for our little store.
People attending the signing can expect to come into the event, buy Beasts of No Prey if they haven't already, and then bring their copy to a line, leading to a table where Gray will meet, greet, and talk with fans.
So we've been unpacking boxes of books and getting them out on our display. We've got a lot of pre-orders, so we've been pulling those, calling folks and letting them know their books are here.
While the visit may only be a chapter in Gray's journey, she says it's a special one.
I'm excited to go back home. I think Little Rock and Arkansas just doesn't get to shout out and get to have moments, especially in kind of the book world, to celebrate. And so I'm excited to be a Little Rock author and Arkansas author.
I don't care if it's 2 degrees in a blizzard. Go get the sauce.
The Truth Sauce, a booming Arkansas father-son business duo we introduced you to last year.
When I discovered Truth Sauce, it was a hit.
Now preparing for what a lot of entrepreneurs call a dream.
Truth Sauce is at Walmart right now. We're starting out in Walmart on Shackelford and also Walmart on McCain.
Walmart, a huge goal for almost any retail entrepreneur, and the excitement is evident, especially from Keith Tucker Sr. as he watches his son makes his dream a reality.
And he said, "No, I'm in." And I said, "You in what?" He said, "I'm in Walmart. I'm getting in Walmart." I said, "Wow." I was just overjoyed.
His son, Keith Tucker III, and president of the Truth Sauce, had no doubts about his business making it to the next level.
I knew it was going to happen, just off his drive and his work ethic.
Expanding the sauce and seasoning world.
We have the Truth barbecue sauce.
Creating jingles for your next summer barbecue. To a fast break down the court with his own inner city youth basketball team, Team Truth.
Kids could do anything in the world, and it's easy to get in trouble these days. So we want to really take these kids, show them a positive light, and tell them they can do something outside of the street activity.
With a success that will continue for generations, Tucker's father and son are excited to see where this new venture in the world's largest retailer will take him.
Global. I see it global, all around the United States, all around the country.
That's my son. You can't wait, because I'm going to be bragging. Even when I go in Walmart, I'm going to just go by that aisle just so I can tell people, that's my son's sauce.
It's almost like my story.
Hers begins with a submarine, smaller than the one you see in North Little Rock. Raye's was German, captured off the Carolina coast early in World War II, and put on tour across the country, and when it came to Little Rock, Raye was only 7 and was taken to see it by her grandfather.
And I looked through the periscope, and I saw all the dials and mechanisms, and I said to the guy, who was giving a spiel, "What do you have to know to do this?" He said, "Oh, you'd have to be an engineer, but you don't have to worry about that."
Sure, that was an insult, but the man at the submarine didn't know Raye had a strong mother.
And she said, "Raye, you'll have 3 strikes against you. You're female," and at that time the terminology for us was Negro, "but you're black, and you'll have a Southern segregated school education. But you can do or be anything you want, provided you're educated."
Growing up, she got ridiculed when she said she wanted to be an engineer.
Well, my classmates all laughed at me because they thought I wanted to drive a train.
But those kids didn't know of the 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Irma Holliday, who would become a mentor.
And she called me aside and she said, "Raye, don't let them tease you. Aim for the stars. At the very worst, you'll land on the moon."
Raye wanted to enter the engineering school at the U of A, but they wouldn't allow minority enrollment. But they didn't know that Raye would parlay an Arkansas A&M education into a job with the Navy in Washington.
I started at the bottom of the ladder, even with a college degree.
She worked right next to a 1956 UNIVAC computer and would watch Ivy League graduate engineers run it.
And you can't stand there and let me watch you do something and think I'm not going to figure out what you're doing.
On a day when all the engineers got sick, Raye jumped up and ran that big UNIVAC all by herself.
Because you see, we weren't supposed to touch that computer, right? And because I was from Arkansas.
But they didn't know that over the next 14 years, Raye would become so competent with computers, she'd be transferred in 1970 to ship design and construction, where she faced down a racist boss and was then given a challenge that would change her life.
The admirals came to me and said, "Young lady, we understand you've got a system to design ships." And I said, "Yes." They said, "The president has given us 2 months. We can give you a month. Can you do it?"
Could she do it?
I brought that rascal in 18 hours and 26 minutes.
This was the ship. Oh, there'd be many more.
They said I had revolutionized the design process for all naval ships and submarines. And after that, my career just took off.
Award after award from the Navy and federal government. In her honor, a flag was flown over the nation's capital. She was given that flag and has it framed.
Can you imagine? In my honor.
And the girl denied by the U of A even found herself in a place she'd never dreamed she'd be.
I was lecturing at the Naval Academy. I was the authority for the Navy.
Raye Montague reached for the stars, and it looks like she made it.
Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And just think how fortunate I was.
Love letter straight from your heart.
Rosetta Frierson didn't stick long. You may know her as Ketty Lester, topping charts in the US and UK in 1962 for her hit single Love Letters, a song that went on to be Grammy nominated. The artist is also from Hope, Arkansas. Lester is a long way from home now, living, singing, and still performing in LA.
Can she hear me or will you be?
I can hear you.
Oh, I know that's right.
Thanks to her team, we were able to capture this interview as I spoke with her over the phone, and her memory was quite sharp about her time spent in Arkansas. Miss Ketty was the youngest of 15 children. They farmed and picked everything from cotton and cucumbers. They were also a generation removed from slavery. Her maternal grandfather was born in Louisiana.
His father was the slave owner, and his mother was the slave cook.
But Ketty says she enjoyed her childhood. Originally trained as a semi-classical singer, she loved to perform and sing. One of her first full house shows was back at Yeager High School as she played Polly in Polly Put the Kettle On, We'll All Have Tea.
I had a trio. It was me, my sister Eva Pearl, and her friend Nona Jean. If we wasn't on the shows, there was no show.
After high school, she didn't want to take the scholarship to Philander Smith College in Little Rock. she wanted to stay with her sister Maddie. They took off to live and work with one of their older brothers in California.
He gave us rules. It was 3 of them. Go to church, go to school, and no babies. That's fine for me because I didn't like boys no way, and they didn't like me because I was always, but I was a fighter.
Well, the fighter got some unique opportunities while searching for work in California. It was during her time working for a summer show she met the owners of the Purple Onion, a known club that had many notable entertainers on stage like Bob Newhart, Richard Pryor, and Maya Angelou.
One night, I knocked on her door and I said, "Miss Angelou, I'm Ketty, and it's so nice to be with someone from a different country," and she started laughing at me.
That's when Angelou let her in on a little secret.
And she said, "I'm from Arkansas, just like you." And I said, "No, you're from Jamaica." You said, "The Jamaicans." She said, "Do you know Camden?" And I said, "Oh, wait a minute." I said, "Camden where?"
And there you have it, the two South Arkansas girls, miles and miles away from Hope and Camden, trying to break into the world of entertainment, becoming friends for years. But Ketty would take off to New York, working as a prodigy under Dorothy Shay. And one of the first places she took Ketty to audition was RCA Victor.
Rosemary Clooney had told me, "Don't go with that company. It's one of the worst companies in the world." And it is. They will take every penny, they took every penny and sent my record all around the world. I never got a penny from them.
Her song Love Letters would make it overseas, gracing the charts in Germany and Australia. And 1 year later, in 1963, the international hit was nominated for a Grammy.
I was never told that my song had been nominated to receive a Grammy. Not only that, blacks didn't go to the Grammys.
Ketty was nominated alongside other black artists Ella Fitzgerald, Diane Carroll, and Lena Horne.
I think it had to be that they put all the Negroes, as they called us then, in one category with one award. And that's the way it went.
But 50 years later, a fan delivered the news in 2017.
She said, "Do you know you were nominated?" I said, "No, don't believe everything you're told." I said, "Because I was not nominated." She said, "Oh, yes, you were."
But her singing career also kickstarted her acting. From Blackula to appearing as the first woman of color on a daytime soap opera in Days of Our Lives, to Hester Sue Terhune in Little House on the Prairie in 1977. She could be seen on screens consistently in several roles. But out of all the people and sets she worked on, she adored one person the most.
For some reason, I don't know why, but me and that boy was just together. Bernie Mac.
Ketty played Mac's aunt in House Party 3. Quite a movie, but she said she enjoyed having fun as well.
River of sound flowing from my...
And still to this day, performing when she can. At 88 years old, Ketty says if God wants her, he will take her. But if he blesses her to live longer, she will not only be grateful, but she will also do what she can while she's here.
The only thing I could say is I hope that people will respect me for what I have tried to do, and that I did it to the best of my ability.